Alright, so we're within Drone Deploy and we've got the Civil Tracker app turned on already. Turn it off and on, just use that button. And we're going to create a new account for the purpose of this, so we're going to call it Master Tracker. And we're going to use tracker at Civil Tracker XYZ. And we'll punch in a password. See if I got those right, and we're going to hit register. Alright, so we got our new account. And we're in this pond project. This pond project has a bunch of data in it already. This would be a little bit different than for somebody who's just got a brand new project with one flight. But that's okay. We can still work with that. So we're going to create a new project because we don't have a project. We're going to call it Test Pond. And the first thing we're going to do is create a boundary. And we get this box, and we're going to tighten up the box to where the actual construction area is. And this just eliminates a bunch of noise. The box needs to be bigger than the construction, but not much bigger. So, and we'll go all the way around, and then we'll come back around after we get this rough and tighten it all up. Okay, so we have that looking pretty. And our next step is to gonna just save the project boundary and finish saving the project itself. So we have a project, but even though we have data in Drone Deploy, that data isn't in Civil Tracker. So what we need to do is navigate to the first map. It's really important to add data sequentially. So we're gonna go all the way back to the very first in June, and we're going to add that data to the project. So this just tells us that the exports have started, and those are being exported from Drone Deploy to Civil Tracker. And yeah, and if we want, just we can always turn that boundary on or off right here. So we got the first data set added, but our whole piece is around tracking progress. So we're going to go to the next data set, which was flown a week later, and we can see that it looks different. And we're going to now add this to the project. So now we're told that the export for those have both started. So the exports do take a little while, and it's probably about 10 minutes from the time that that you hit the export until that heat map is generated and it comes back onto your screen. So there's a couple things we can do in the meantime because this is a new project. And we're going to go set up the various types of materials we're going to track. So the very first material we're going to add is we're going to add our topsoil cut. Because this particular project, we're measured based on the amount of topsoil that's cut, and I've just put in topsoil cut. I've correlated it to material type, and if you don't find what you're looking for in here, then just put other, but in this case I found topsoil. And here for the material name you can use whatever you want. I've chosen brown for that, and I'm going to save that. So now you can see it's topsoil cut, topsoil type 0, and hey, it's a freebie. This is a free project apparently. So then I'm going to add a second one. I'm going to call it topsoil pile. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to measure the amount. I want to separately measure the amount of topsoil that's cut from where it's stockpiled as two different things. If I measure them as the same thing, then it would just cancel each other out. So I'm going to save that. And now I've got topsoil, my cut in my pile. And I'm going to go ahead right now and I'm going to add subsoil cut as type subsoil. And I'm going to add subsoil pile as type subsoil. And save those. So now I've got 4 material types. And later on through this project, there's actually more required. So I'm going to go here and the heat map's not yet ready. It can take up to 10 minutes, and so we got a little while to do. So I'm going to pause the recording and restart it once that's done. Alright, so I just got an email informing me that the heat map was ready, and I'm going to come in here and refresh this button, and the heat map automatically turns on. So you can see here there's a fair bit of cut through the middle and a fair bit of fill up here, and we're going to start creating polygons. And so these polygons are associated with the material types, so the first letter of each word and the color. And so we're going to create a topsoil pile polygon. And as soon as we create that, we get a rough shape. And we're going to just move that into place. And we're going to zoom in and tidy it up. Now it's important to try and make the line as good as possible between the cut and fill, because we don't want to accidentally get the wrong material type, the cut or fill. Alright, so we have that polygon all created as a topsoil pile. Come back here and we're just going to hit the save button to save that. We can always turn that polygon on or off by using this button down here. And that's the area of it. Okay, so we're going to create another topsoil pile. And, there's those 3 little piles on the west side. I guess they're not little, I'm just zoomed out. And then we're going to do all of that just with a single polygon. Snug that in. Add some vertices here. Now all that red out on the west side, that's just from the trees. That's just noise, and that's part of the reason we need Civil Tracker to differentiate between what's actually noise and what's changed. Alright, so that polygon looks pretty good. It's done, so we'll hit the back arrows to get back to the main page. We're going to save that polygon as well, and now we've got 2 here. Now we're going to tackle the piles on the south side. And anytime you want, you can turn the heat map on or off to get a sense of what's going on. So I'll just make that polygon about the right size. And we'll go in a minute and fine tune it. Nice and tight. Looks good. Now we're going to tackle the large cut polygon. It's all topsoil that's been stripped. So I'm going to start right around here. And I'm going to spend some time just getting this polygon the way it needs to be so that it's just right. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I'm just going to do a once around on everything to tighten it up and add some vertices and make it as good as possible. Navigate around some vehicles here. And I'm not terribly worried about stuff that we miss. I know we'll be able to get it later. Being a little over picky. Okay, so we've got that topsoil polygon. And we'll save that. And we're going to add one more topsoil polygon for over here. Our goal is to get all the blue and none of the red. That takes a little bit of time to get it right. We don't want to double count that, so we're going to trim those boundaries up against each other, and that looks pretty good. Now, I could add that last pile, but I know it's temporary and it's going to get moved again, so there's no point tracking it at this point. So at this point, I've got 5 polygons. That's taken me a few minutes to create, and I'm going to finalize my tracking and generate a report. So having completed the tracking, this finalizes it, this little pop-up appears, and I'm going to generate a report. And that report is going to be sent to my email, and I'm going to go retrieve that report and show it here on the video. Alright, so I downloaded the report from my email. I'm going to drag it in and show you guys what's going on. So the name, project name shows up here, and the total cut from in here is 49,000 cubic meters, and the topsoil piles 27,000 cubic meters. The project progress to date is the same as the progress table, because we haven't, this is the first as-built we've done, but as we do additional as-builts through the life cycle of this project, the totals will go up and the progress will always just be for the most current progress report. And then each polygon that we created here has individual area and volume tracking pieces that show up here to give you some feedback on that. And we're showing the current as-built versus the previous as-built. And we'll put your logo in here, and that's the progress report you can expect out of Civil Tracker. So thank you very much. Any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of me.